The mantids are a highly evolved race of insect warriors. They live only to see that the hive may grow and devour anything that stands in their way. Their presence in the Lost Land has been contained due to the valiant efforts of Joshua Fireseed. Having vanquished their queen and her brood, the Turok have all but destroyed the mantid colony in the Lost Land. Without their precious queen to propagate a new generation, the mantid colony is doomed to extinction. The light burden could bridge the gap between the Lost Land and the mantid homeworld, allowing a full-scale mantid invasion and sealing the fate of all life in the Lost Land. The mantid drones are the colony's most numerous protectors. Fearless and cunning, they feel no pity or remorse for their victims, only the cold, indifferent resolve of a species that feels nothing but the need to multiply and destroy. The most highly evolved of the mantid warriors, the soldier is a heavily armored nightmare. Huge and swift, the soldier is one of the most formidable opponents that the Rage Wars have ever seen. The nervous system of the mantid soldier has evolved beyond the need to feel pain. A soldier's place is to defend the colony from invasion or die trying. Nothing else is of concern. Together with their brethren, the drones, the mantid soldiers will fight to the end to see the future of their colony restored. Though nearly harmless while alone, a pack of mites is a dangerous and elusive foe. In the hive, the mites serve as the cleaning crew. Scouring the hive 24 hours a day, the mites remove any filth, decay, or foreign matter from the premises and ensure an optimal breeding environment. The mites also tend to the larvae that brood in specialized chambers throughout the colony. The destruction of their queen has awakened their dormant aggression, and the pack prowls the Rage Wars in search of quarry to destroy. Velociraptors, lighting fast and able to attack with a deadly flurry of teeth and razor-sharp claws, are one of Turok's most ancient enemies. Genetically enhanced intelligence makes the velociraptors of the Lost Land far more deadly than their pure prehistoric ancestors. Centuries of defeat at the hands of the Turok have fanned the flames of their hatred and driven them to new depths of evil. The dinosaurs are genetically engineered dinosaur hybrids. Centuries of experimentation and evolution have created the subbreed known as Fireborns. Being able to withstand extreme heat, the Fireborns are extremely valued within the ranks of the Dinosaur army. They are utterly evil and extraordinarily dangerous. Their ferocity is matched only by their capacity to inflict suffering and death on the weak. A single warrior has been sent to the Rage Wars to complete their ultimate mission: obtain the light burden from Joshua Fireseed's cold, dead hands. The Blind Ones are a primitive race of subterranean cave dwellers that are perhaps one of the most ancient races in all of the Lost Land. The Blind Ones are flesh-eaters. They journey to the surface only in the deepest night to hunt for warm-blooded prey, which they drag screaming into their underground chambers to be devoured by the hungry multitudes. Despite their blindness, the Blind Ones have developed a form of extrasensory perception that allows them to feel their surroundings, much as a bat navigates with a sonar-like natural radar. Having been nearly decimated by Joshua, the Blind Ones are now starving for vengeance and the desire to pluck the beating heart from Joshua's dead body. Grotesque, rotting bodies are the vessels for evil spirits trapped in the place known as Deadside. Desperate to escape their cold, lifeless prison and feast upon the luscious warmth of the living, the Lords of the Dead are one of Deadside's most terrifying inhabitants. A single warrior has been granted a reprieve from the land of the dead in order to participate in the battle for the light burden. Should the Lord of the Dead emerge victorious, the power of the light burden would be used to shatter the netherscape that separates Deadside from the world of the living, and an age of untold terror and carnage would unfold. The Purlin are an ancient race of primitive, ape-like creatures that have inhabited the Lost Land since its birth. Deeply resentful of any species that are their intellectual or technical superiors, the Perlin take what they cannot create and destroy that which they cannot possess. Perlin society is based on strength and ferocity. The Juggernauts are the very essence of Perlin's brutality and raw power. The Perlin regard humankind as weak, squeaking insects. They are particularly resentful of the progress that the human race has made in such a relatively short time. The Perlin believe that if they can crush the mighty Turok, the rest of mankind will soon fall. The formidable mainstay of the Primagen's defense system, the biobots are a grotesque amalgamation of living tissue and state-of-the-art electronics. The Primagen was defeated at the hands of Joshua Fireseed, but the young Turok failed to completely decimate his forces. At the moment of the Primagen's death, the Biobot's programming activated a Berserker program, sending the remnants of his army on a bloody rampage with orders to destroy any life that they found. This was a last twisted act of revenge by the Primagen. The Biobots have tracked Joshua and his allies silently for nearly 2 years, slaughtering any innocent life forms unfortunate enough to cross their paths. In a series of frantic firefights, Joshua managed to destroy all but a single Biobot. This lone survivor has tracked down Joshua and intends to eliminate the Turok once and for all. The dark spawn of an unknown terror, known only as Oblivion, attempted to destroy Joshua during his assault on Primagen. Though they failed, the presence of the Oblivion spawn at the Rage Wars has left Joshua searching for a meaning to their attacks and the purpose of their evil. Adon warned Joshua that her scientific readings of the Oblivion energy signal bore a remarkable similarity to elements of the Turok signature.
Roulette wheels, spinning around in their own circles, consistent to themselves, but inconsistent to each other.
Specifically, Adon discovered that trace remnants of the same energy that the light burden contains, an energy controlled by the Turok lineage since the Lost Land was created, were present in the Oblivion signature. Though he does not know how the Turok line is connected to this Oblivion, Joshua is fearful that the connection may indeed spell doom for the Fireseed family. An evil cybernetic tyrant, the Campaigner once ruled over the Lost Land with an iron fist. The Campaigner's reign of terror was cut short in a dramatic battle with Talset, the greatest warrior the Turok lineage has ever produced. When he was younger and more human than machine, the Campaigner battled Talset in the Rage Wars and nearly triumphed, only to be crushed at the last moment by a devastating blow from Talset. The injuries were so terrible that much of the Campaigner's body had to be replaced by cybernetic limbs and synthetic organs. For generations, the firstborn male of the Fireseed family has taken up the mantle of Turok. Now it is Joshua's turn to face his destiny and rise to the challenge of his ancestors. As the current Turok, Joshua wields the power of the light burden, a sacred vessel that contains the last pure fragments of the energy of creation. The awesome power held within the light burden has been sought by the forces of evil since the dawn of time. The Rage Wars were born out of this lust for the power of creation. Now Joshua must prove himself worthy to take up the mantle and wield the light burden. Born of a noble family and raised under the scrutiny of her mother's watchful eye, Adon was prepared since birth to take up the mantle of Speaker of Forever Light. The Speaker of Forever Light serves as a liaison between the people of Galliana and the Council of Voices, the disembodied consciences of the Lost Land's greatest leaders. The Council have lived and ruled Galliana as immortals for thousands of years. Having uploaded their conscious minds into massive computer systems centuries ago, the Council lives on, though their bodies have long since died. As the only governess of Galliana permitted to speak directly with the Council, Adon's position is one of the highest respect and ultimate sacrifice. The Speaker must serve only the needs of the Council and the people of Galliana. Although she has served the council faithfully since her mother's untimely death, Adon often longs to be free of her bonds. Adon participates in the Rage Wars as a representative of Galliana, seeking to uphold the honor of her house and prevent the light burden from falling into evil hands. The symbiont are a race of large, highly intelligent arachnid parasites. Using the bodies of their hosts as vehicles, the symbiont are able not only to control the physical actions of their host organism, but also to tap into their minds and rob them of their collective knowledge, memories, and will. Once the symbiont has drained the mind of its host, it can create a psychic tether between itself and its host organism. By using this psychic tether, the symbiont can essentially control the hapless body as if it were its own. The symbiont remains hidden while its other body does its bidding. The symbiont can push its host body beyond its normal limits, cancelling out the effects of pain or injury and driving onward as if the poor creature were nothing more than a tank or automaton. Should the body that the symbiont is riding become too damaged to function, the symbiont will detach itself and scurry after a fresh body to usurp. However, the symbiont cannot animate a dead body. A symbiont on its own is nearly helpless and unable to defend itself from all but the least skilled adversaries. The symbiont wish to destroy Turok so that they may begin assimilating the lost land unchallenged. Deposed Lord and General of a once mighty army, Bastille was sentenced to death when he and his honor guard attempted to assassinate their king. His standing as a lord was revoked, and Bastille was on the precipice of death when a temporal distortion in his home world pulled him through a fracture in the Netherscape and deposited him in the Lost Land. Bastille found himself in a land ripe for the taking, a world full of technological marvels and a host of lesser races that could be easily controlled. Bastille's shield-generating armor was worn by a great warlord whom he poisoned after winning his trust. Although Bastille soon amassed a sizable following of warriors, he failed to attain recognition as anything more than a roving thug, commanding a host of rabbles and thieves. Determined to win back his honor and be recognized as a true leader, Bastille has set his eyes on the light burden. With it, he could rule the Lost Land and exact his revenge on his former king. Sira began her life as the child of an arms maker. Her father crafted the finest weapons the Lost Land had ever seen. Having forged weapons for the famed army of Araisi, her father's skills were unmatched in his day. Sira felt a great kinship with her father, and the fine blades and rifles he created felt natural in her hands. Practicing in the pre-dawn darkness with every manner of weapon she could obtain, Sira quietly honed her skills and perfected the art of killing. On a cold winter's morning, Sira was awakened by the sound of raised voices. As she peered through the window of her room, Sira saw a band of armor-clad men beating her father and demanding entry to his armory. When her father spat in the face of the man in charge of the mercenaries, he was cut down. In a fit of blind fury, Sira burst through the window. A girl of only 14, she waded into the band like a deadly whirlwind of lead and steel. 3 of the men fell before their comrades knew what had happened. The rest fled for their lives. Sira buried her father and burned the house that she was raised in. Armed with her father's weapons, Sira set out to hunt for his murderers. As time passed, and the last of the killers fell from a bullet fired too far away to hear, Sira's heart grew even more cold. The grief that she had felt for her father festered and turned to raw hatred. Sira's tragic childhood loss had birthed in her the seed of a cold-hearted and lonely woman. Sira travels the Lost Land as a hired gun. The song of her long rifle, her only companion. The money she earns, her only solace. She has accepted a bounty on Joshua Fireseed and has entered the Rage Wars to collect her trophy. Tal Set is the greatest champion mankind has ever known, and the greatest Turok that has ever lived. Having witnessed the death of his wife and child, and the subsequent destruction of most of his tribe, Talset was pulled into the Lost Land through a fissure in the Netherscape. When it was made known to him that the fate of mankind rested on his shoulders, Talset was torn between the apathy the death of his people had fueled and the sense of honor and courage that he had lived by his whole life. Ultimately, honor and courage triumphed. Talset embraced the mantle and came to be known as Turok, the son of stone, the valiant one, and the fury of hope. Talset is the veteran of more battles than can be counted, and has made the name Turok feared by all that is black-hearted and evil. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel, leave a like and a comment, it all helps. See you again in the next one.